Okay, so after like 15 minutes of setup, I'm actually ready to start the game. It's pretty crazy. So what we're gonna do is you have a first player, and our first player is gonna be Joe Diamond. There's a first player token that you use to remember who it is, and then it goes around clockwise after each turn. So Joe's going to start. So the thing about Arkham Horror, the way it works, is that everybody does each phase before the next phase starts. So the first phase is movement, where you get to move around the board. And then after that is the encounter phase, where you encounter the spaces you're on the board. And then it is the other world encounter phase, if anybody happens to be in another world, and when that happens, we'll get to that. And then is the Mythos phase, where you draw another Mythos card. And that's one round of gameplay, and then you just repeat until you win the game. And if you remember, to win the game, there's actually a few ways that you win Arkham Horror. One way is to seal 6 gates. Once you seal 6 gates, you win. So that's probably the best way to win in this game. The other way is to have as many gate tokens as players. Every time you close a gate, you get to take the gate itself. So, for example, say this gate was here, we closed it, we take this gate, and the person who closes it gets it as a trophy. If we have as many gates as players, gate trophies as players, so one for each, or 3, you win. But the problem is that there can be no other gates on the board either. And it sounds easy to have, okay, we each get a gate, it's over, but it's almost... because almost every turn a new gate's coming up, so it's almost impossible to win. Well, I'm saying impossible, but I have never done it. Win that way, it's pretty hard. So the better way to do it is to get the seal all the gates. The third way is that the Ancient One awakens and you defeat it, which is a really hard way to do it. So the goal is to keep sealing gates. The way you seal gates is you have to go to the gate. Then you get drawn through that gate into another world. You go through the other world, and you come back out to the gate. And when you come back out to the gate, you have a chance to close it. And when you close that gate, you immediately have to spend 5 clues to seal that location. So that is pretty much how it works. So we want to get clues before we go in the gates, have enough clues to seal locations when we come back out of it. So we want to get clues. The main thing is trying to find enough clues to seal gates. So what you kind of do is before each turn is Joe Diamond goes first. You kind of decide, all right, where do I want him to go? There's a couple areas here he can go. Every move from one area to another is 1 movement point. So he can head here to Hibbs Roadhouse. There's a clue here to pick up. He can spend 2 movement to get there. He can go to like the graveyard, the Black Cove or Cave, all these places. You usually want to go try to get some clues if possible. So you look at his card and you determine, in the beginning when he's set up, you're able to just kind of do it as you want. Determine, what you want your stats at. Remember, your focus determines how many times you can move this. So since, I think I'm just going to head him over to Hibbs Roadhouse. So he only needs 2 movement to get there. So we're going to set him up at 3 speed, since he only needs 2 speed to get to get there, and so that means he has the highest sneak if he needs a sneak roll or something. And then his other, we just kind of put in here. Now I moved his lore down to 2 because I forgot he has +1 to luck from his card that he got. So he actually has 2 luck and 2 lore now if this is here. So we put that there. So just Joe Diamond's move. So he is going to go to Hibbs Roadhouse. So move him 1 to East Town, and then 2 to Hibbs Roadhouse. And then he gets to take this clue. Whenever you go to a location, you end your turn, your movement on a location with a clue, you get to take him. So he's going to take this clue, and he now has 4 clues. And 1 more, if he goes in a gate, he'll be able to seal it. So that's good. So next it's going to be Min here. And she is going to send herself with 2 movement, and I put her down to 2 movement, so she has 4 sneak. She's going to leave St. Mary's Hospital, head to Uptown, and then head down to the woods here, and then pick up the clue at the woods. So that's her movement turn. So that gives her 3 clues at the moment. And then Mandy is going to, who starts with 4 clues already, which is pretty awesome. She is going to go get a 2-speed, and she herself is going to head over to the science building, I think. I could have moved her a little farther, because we want to close that gate up in the double reef, if possible. Even though she could head to the river docks, but she has to do a fight -1 check if she does that. Well, any aquatic location, she has to do that because of this card. Let's just start a little slow. Let's go to the science building. That's what I was going to do. So that's 1, 2. She picks up this clue. And she already has 5 clues, which is pretty awesome. So that's the movement phase in Arkham Horror. So everybody does it, and then you move on to the next phase, which is the encounter phase. And that is when you encounter the space you're on. So Joe Diamond is at Hibbs Roadhouse. So what we do is we draw a card for Easttown, which will have these 3 locations on it. We read whatever it is. We have to do what it says. You pass, you fail. Things happen. Then you move on to the next character. So we're going to do that next. Okay, so since Joe Diamond is in Easttown at Hibbs Roadhouse, we come down here. We find the cards that relate to that area. So that is these cards here. So you do a quick shuffle. There's no discard pile for every time you use a card from these. You actually shuffle it back into the deck. So you do a shuffle. Now there are 7 cards for each location in the core set of Arkham Horror. Let me add this up a little so it's not so zoomed in. The 7 core cards, and then we also added, I believe, 4 cards each. Yeah, for the Innsmouth, added 4 cards to each of these location decks. And it also added its own separate location decks, where the Innsmouth board. Okay, so we shuffle them up, draw a card, and we look at the card. And because this is the Easttown card, the 3 locations that are there are Hibbs Roadhouse, Police Station, and Velma's Diner. So we find Hibbs Roadhouse, and it says a horrible monster appears. Nice start to the game. So what that means is basically he got kind of ambushed by a monster. So the way this happens is you draw a monster out of the monster cup, and he has to fight that monster or evade it. Monsters that come out in this way don't stay on the board unless a gate spawns a monster onto the board in that way. So because we just have a horrible monster appearing, we basically are just going to grab a monster. Gotta do a little moving around and stuff, and apologize real quick before we get into this. Okay, so let's draw a monster from the monster cup. And it is a witch. So we'll be able to explain combat here, which is going to be nice right off the bat. Okay, so Joe Diamond gets ambushed by this witch, so we have to decide if we're going to fight her or not, or evade her. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You could try to evade a monster and not fight them. The way you would do that is you would take your sneak skill and any modifiers you have from cards. So his is 4, Joe Diamond's. So you would have a 4, which means you get 4 dice. And remember, every 5 and 6 you roll, you just need 1 to succeed. A 5 or a 6. So obviously the more die you have, the better chance you have. So in the front of a monster is this number on the top right. That's their modifier for sneaking past it. -1 for the witch. So he would get 4 dice, and then you would take 1 away for the modifier, so he would have 3 dice. He would roll those. If he gets a 5 or 6, he evades the monster. When you get ambushed by a monster like this, or he jumps out at you, not from a gate, if you sneak past it, it just goes back to the cup. It doesn't stay on the board. Only a monster who comes out from a gate stays on the board. So he could also try to fight the monster. And the way you do that is with these icons on the bottom. So the first thing you do when you fight a monster is you do a will test, or horror check it's called, which is kind of like your mental being when you face this thing, like how much sanity you lose before you even fight it. The good thing about the witch is there is no check here. It's a dash, which means we don't have to do one. So that's pretty awesome. So then the next thing you would do is the combat check, which for her is -3, which is pretty steep. So whatever his fight stat is, which is 3 right now, plus any items he can use, so he has some weapons to add to his combat check. You subtract 3 from that total, that's how many dice you would roll. And this blood drop in the middle is how many hit points she has, or a toughness. So we would need 1 success to kill her. Now if we fail that check, the hearts are how much damage she would do to us if we fail. So if we fail our check, she would actually do 2 damage to our stamina. And another thing she has is magical resistance, which means she's resistant, so she takes half damage, I believe, from magical items. So we don't actually have any magical items. We have all physical weapons, so that doesn't come into play for this. So I think we're going to fight her, because if you fight and kill the monster, you actually get to keep it as a trophy. And he would have 1 toughness. It matters how much the toughness is here. Worth of trophies, and you can turn those in the game later. And if you remember his personal story, he actually has to spend 5 toughness worth of monster trophies to get through his personal story. So he wants to kill monsters when he can. So we're going to try to kill this witch. We can read a little background on her here. It says, she was lovely and terrible all at once. A strange light shone in her eyes as she chanted. What the heck did she chant? La la Shabnira, the goat with 1,000 young. Okay, so she's pretty crazy. Okay, so we don't have to do the horror check. So we move right on to the will. We're not trying to evade, so we don't do the horror. We move right down to this. So -3. So Joe has a 3 in fight. But if you remember, he's got some weapons. He has the Tommy gun, which is a 2-hander, which gives him +6 to combat checks. So that will actually make his fight 9 dice. 6 plus the 3. He also has the 2 one-hand weapons he can both use, which gives him also +6. So it doesn't really matter which way he does it. Let's use the Tommy gun, because that sounds cool. So basically we get 9 dice, minus the 3 dice for her modifier. So we get 6 dice. And all we need with 6 dice is 1, 5, or 6. So I only actually have 5 dice of this. I actually ordered another set of these, so I'll have 10. When the bag comes in, I'll also get another set of these. So we need basically 1 success for her 1 toughness. With 6 dice, I'll roll 5, and if we don't get 1, I'll roll 1 more for his 6th. So we got 2 6s. So we had definitely succeeded. All we needed was 1 to kill her. And since we killed her, she didn't hit us back with the 2 damage. If we failed, she would have hit us for 2. So she's basically been killed by Joe. So he gets to keep her as a trophy, which is awesome. Right off the bat, he gets a trophy. So he didn't get any items, but he got a trophy, a monster trophy right off the bat. And a clue. So not bad for Joe. Okay, so now we move on to Min, who is in the woods down here. I'll move the camera around with my hand for maybe the Innsmouth stuff. I'm going to try to keep it on the tripod here and zoom around. I apologize if it's a little hard to read some of the stuff, but I'll read the stuff that you need to know as we get there, just to keep my hands free and make it easier on myself. So here's the woods. Another thing to think about when you go to locations, they have symbols on the location as well. So the woods here has 2. Every location has 2 symbols. It has money and a common item. So that means when you do the encounters at those places with the encounter cards that you get, I don't know why I'm like way off. Yeah, so this would be the encounter cards for the woods. There's a better chance. There's a good chance. Not every card, but there's a good chance that you may get money or a common item. So if there's things you need to get, you can kind of base where you're going on that as well. So they all have different things. The Historical Society here, for example, has skills and spells and things like that. And then the Magic Shop here has a special symbol. It has spells and I believe that is unique items. But since you see that this one here has a black, like a black icon, well, that's a white icon. The black icon means that you can actually use, you could read this text and get that item. So at the magic shop, instead of having an encounter here, you may pay $5 to draw 2 spells, keep one of them, and discard the other. So because it's black, that means you can do something here related to that symbol by just spending money or monster trophies or gate trophies. The hospital up here, for example, if you can see it or not, has clues and then a black heart, meaning that you can, instead of having an encounter here, you can recover stamina. You can regain 1 stamina for free or pay $2 to restore all of your stamina when you go to the hospitals. Because of the black symbol means you can spend money or something to get that ability. So that's what those symbols mean. But the woods here are basically just, we see what we can get out of this one. There's a chance for money and a common item, but we'll see. So we'll shuffle up the woods, or the Uptown deck. And we'll see what we get in the woods. Wow, what is going on with these cards? So if we look at the woods, a gate and a monster appear. What is going on? So that means we didn't get money or a common item. So a gate and a monster appears. So that means because a gate appears with a monster, the monster will actually stay on the board. Well, we have to add a thing to the Doom track, because every time a gate appears, we have to add a marker to the Doom track, and we have to roll on Czar's ability for the doubles. So that's not good at all. The thing about the gate appearing, though, which is also not very good because she doesn't have enough clues, is that Min is going to get sucked right into that gate. Apparently, I don't think she'll have to fight the monster, though. She'll just get sucked into the gate. Okay, so a new gate opens in the woods, and that is a gate to another dimension. So this opens up here where Min is, and the problem with that is for her, if a new gate opens up on a location where Investigator is, she automatically gets drawn into the gate. So another dimension's gate is actually right here, close by. So what happens is she gets drawn into another dimension. And the way these work is you start on the left side. We're kind of looking at backwards here. And then during your movement phase, you move here. You get an encounter. During your movement phase, you move here, and then you move back out. The problem is if you get drawn in from a gate that appears where you're at, like out of nowhere, you actually become delayed, which means your next turn you can't move. You have to stay where you're at. So it's kind of like she's disoriented from going through the gate. So she becomes delayed because of it. The other thing that happens is a monster appears on a spawn gate, and if the monster appeared like we did with Joe Diamond, and a gate didn't spawn, he would leave immediately after the fight happens. If Joe Diamond invaded it, it would leave. It wouldn't stay on the board. But because a gate came up, it will actually stay on the board. So we have to draw a monster, and he stays on the board. And we get a ghoul who has a -3 to evade checks. He's undead. He's not very hard to kill, though, which is a good thing. But he's hard to evade. So you're pretty much going to fight him if you run into him. So we're going to add him into the woods. And because a gate opened, the worst part of this is that because a gate opened, we actually have to add another Doom token to the Doom track of the Ancient One. So that sucks. It's already at 2. And because a gate opened, because of Czar's ability, we have to roll 2 dice. And if we get doubles, when a new gate opens, roll 2 dice. If doubles are rolled, immediately draw and resolve a Mythos card. So this is one of the times before where like it's just immediate. You don't have to worry about the other Mythos card that it would normally open the gate. So we get a 5 and a 3, so that does not happen. So that's good. Okay, so her turn is done. She's in another dimension, and she's delayed. She's laying on her ass, all weirded out, because she just went through a gate to another dimension. So I would be a little goofed up, too. Alright, so now Mandy's up. Mandy is at the science building over here right now. And she doesn't have any monster trophies or a gate trophy to get clues. So she's just going to do a science building encounter. So let's see what we get. So far, all we get is monsters in these encounters. I swear that's not all... Oops. I swear that's not all that's in these monster encounters. But as of this moment, it seems like it is. Okay, so she gets an encounter from the science building. Let's see if we can focus this a little better. A chemical brew bubbles on a nearby Bunsen burner. It smells delicious. If you drink it, it make a lore +0 check. So that's just a straight up check. If you pass, the strange liquid fortifies you. Roll a die and gain that many points, split between your stamina and sanity. However, you like. If you fail, the liquid turns out to be coffee. Gain 1 stamina. So this is kind of odd because this doesn't help us in any way. Does it say we may? If you drink it. So I don't think we have to roll this because both ways, no matter what happens, we gain stamina and sanity. But we're max on both. So it's kind of a pointless card, actually. If we were low on health, it'd be nice. But we are not. So that's kind of a pointless card. I'm not even going to roll it. There's no reason to. Okay, so that is the end of the encounter phase for all the characters. So everybody moved, then everybody encountered their spaces. So now we move on to the other world encounters. And because she is in another world, Min, she actually gets to do one of these. She's delayed, which means she can't move. Well, actually, no, I don't think she does. Does she do one? Oh, now I gotta... Because she's delayed, she would get up next turn and stay there, and then do it. Let me see, I gotta decide on that. Okay, so if you get sucked through the gate on a encounter, you do have to do another world encounter. So basically, we're gonna have to do 3 for her. She's gonna do one now. The other world encounter is stage 4 of the game. So step 1 is upkeep, where we move our stuff around. Step 2 is movement. Step 3 is Arkham encounters, where we encounter the space, what we were doing. And step 4, if there is anybody in another world, we have to do an encounter there. And then step 5 is the mythos phase. So basically, normally, if you go into a gate willingly, you come in standing up, you do an encounter, you move here on your next turn, do an encounter, and then you move out of the gate. But because we're delayed, because it opened up on us unexpectedly, we have to do an encounter, and we're delayed. So next turn, we can't move. We just stand up. We'll have to do another encounter, and then the turn after that we move and do an encounter, and then we leave. So being sucked through the gate during the Arkham encounter phase makes you have to do 3 otherworld encounters, where normally you do 2. So that sucks even more. So let's do it. So this is the otherworld encounter deck. Now shuffle, give it one more little shuffle. I have shuffled it before, but we haven't drawn from it yet. So the way these work is you draw these, and each card is a different color: yellow, red, green, or blue. And each gate, each other world has color icons next to them. So if you look at another dimension, it has all 4 colors. If you look at the abyss, it just has red and blue. So since it has all 4 colors, basically any card we draw is going to allow us. We have to do that card because that's all 4 colors. So we draw the top card, and it's a red card. As you see, it's colored. But because that has every color, we do it anyway. So there's always 2 specific gates, Rila and Plateau of Laying on this card. So if we happen to be in those worlds, we read those. If we're in any other world besides those, we do the other. So it says, pass a luck -1 check to discover a useful object in your wanderings. Draw 1 unique item. So that could be good. Luck -1. Alright, so this goes at the bottom of the deck after we're done. So her luck is 2. So it's a luck -1 check. And she doesn't have a bonus to luck. And she doesn't have anything that could give her any luck specifically. No. So she basically gets 1 die on this luck check. So let's roll the 1 die and see what we get. Now we could spend clue tokens to roll again, but I don't think I'm going to do that if we fail, because basically we're getting a unique item, which could be really good, but I want to keep my clue tokens as well. And we get a 1, so we majorly fail on our luck test. So basically she doesn't get her unique item. That's fine. I don't want to burn through clues for that yet. We'll have to worry about that maybe later. We'll burn through clues for other more important things that'll damage us or kill us or something. Okay, so that's the end of stage 4. The other world encounters. So now we do stage 5, which is the Mythos phase. So we draw another Mythos card, which is what we drew in the beginning of the game. So this is an environment card, which is the same as the card that we had earlier. So once we get to the part with the environment, we will replace this card with this one. With the old card will come off the board, and this one will take place. So first we have to spawn a gate at the Esoteric Order of Dagon. So this is another Innsmouth card, which kind of sucks because that had 2 clues on it. And because we have to spawn a gate there, it now has no clues on it. Let's see if I can get somewhat of a view of that down there. It's a little hard to see, I know, but basically the one right here with 2 clues. So we spawn a gate, and it is the Abyss. So these clues have to leave because the gate swallows them up. And then we draw a monster to go on that gate. And it is a Proto-Shoggoth, which is a pretty nasty monster. It has physical resistance. It takes 3 hits to kill it. Does a lot of damage to us. -2 to escape it. Right there. Pretty tough dude. He's going to head out here in the gate. Okay, so then once a gate spawns, we have to add a Doom token to our Ancient One. We're already at 3. And we barely, after the first turn, we're not even done with the first real turn yet, we're at 3. So that's pretty insane, because we had that other gate spawn on us. So, when a gate spawns, remember we roll doubles for our Ancient One's ability. If we get doubles, we have to do another card. So let's roll. And we get a 1 and a 3, so we're good on that. Let's hope that never actually works. Okay, so we did the first part of the card. And now we have to do a clue appears at the Devil Reef, which is bad because there's already a gate at the Devil Reef, which means that a clue doesn't go there if there's a gate there. So that's screwing us. And now monster movement. So we have 3 symbols for white: the slash, triangle, and star. So we have a hexagon on the board. We have a diamond and a circle. So none of those match here. But we do have the hexagon here for black. So that monster is going to move. And that is the ghoul in the woods down here. So he's going to move down the black path, which basically is going to take him into Uptown. So the ghoul's moved into Uptown now. And then we read the card, the Trembling Earth. At the start of each upkeep phase, while this card is in play, roll a die. On a 1, the terror level increases by 1. While this card is in play, investigators receive 1 less movement point each turn. Wow, that sucks. Alright, so that card is in play now. And we have to remember those things. And that is the end of turn 1 in Arkham Horror, and it was kind of a horrid turn a bit there. We have our Doom track is already at 3 before we've even done anything. One of our investigators is delayed in another dimension, and she doesn't have enough clue tokens to seal it when she comes out. So it's an interesting start and not very good for us, but hopefully it'll get better. So thanks for watching, guys. That's one turn. I'm gonna try to get I want to try to get 2 turns in, but I don't want the videos to go past a half hour each. So hopefully we'll speed it up as we move along, and we have a little bit less explaining, all. But we'll see how we do. Thanks for watching. We can see you guys later.